mission, should you choose to accept it.
It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to And I Quote, the weekly show where we introduce you to content creators of all shapes and sizes that join us from any and all corners of the nerd universe, and we promote their projects. I am your host, Ryan, and our guest this week is comic book writer and promoter. Please welcome Phillip Russertt to the program. Phillip, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, thanks. You said all shapes and sizes. Well, you got pear shape.
I guess I did. Thank you so much for being here, Phil. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure you like and share this video with all 200 of your closest friends. You're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote. I guarantee it. So to kick things off here, Phil, what would you say were some of your favorite comic books or writers growing up?
Chris Claremont's my favorite. Of course, I was a big Uncanny X-Men fan, especially, I loved Cockrum and Byrne, and then everybody after that, of course. And Peter David, I love Peter David's writing. Phenomenal. You and I had spoken about Mark Waid. He's done some amazing stuff as well. Kingdom Come, obviously, being his pinnacle work. So those are some of the writers that I really love in comic books.
No, there you go. There you go. When did you decide to become a comic book writer?
Last January.
Pretty recent, right?
Yeah, I'd fallen really ill, and after hospitalization and 6 weeks in bed, I just said, you know what, I always thought about doing this, but never really seriously thought about it. I said, no time like now, and I just started writing.
Wow, that is something else. What would you say are some of the biggest rewards about being a comic book writer?
It's very cathartic for me to create. I create characters. Obviously, there's a little of myself in them, people I know, my wife, friends, etc. But there's a certain satisfaction in your mind just drifting into this other world that you've created. There's no boundaries. There's no laws. There's no structure that you have to follow per se, and you get to just explore your own mind, your own heart, and sometimes you, like I said, cathartically just get some of your issues or your emotions or things you're dealing with inside to the page, and in an entertaining way, where people maybe even they read that character and they can relate, and in a way that's a connection to me if there's a part of me in that character.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Once again, we're talking with Phillip Russertt here on this episode of And I Quote. Make sure you like and share this video with all 300 of your closest friends. You're going to like the way you look after watching or listening to this episode. I guarantee it. On the flip side of the coin, though, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges about being a comic book writer?
There's a lot of working parts, and as a writer, I can't draw the book. I can't letter the book. So you have to be reliant and patient and wait on others to get their part of the book done. For me, I don't have a lot of patience, and I like to get things done yesterday. So for me, it's frustrating. Not that anybody's been late per se, but just having to rely on others to do things that I wish I could do myself, so to speak, can be frustrating. But the biggest frustration is getting people to take you seriously and trust you as a writer when you don't have that resume, you don't have the credentials, you're not a big name, you're essentially selling yourself more than even your IP and your product, because you want people to trust you that you're going to give them something that's not a waste of their money. So it gets frustrating sometimes not getting I don't know if respect is the word, but getting that trust in people or trying to work so hard to get it can be frustrating.
Yeah, I can certainly understand that. Fair points as you bring up here, Phil. Now we're going to bring something up here. This is something known as tragedy. Now we've heard tragedy before. Tragedy, that word's been around for many eons. Probably as the dawn. Yeah, probably as the dawn of time. And also, we've heard about Greek tragedies, Roman tragedies, all kinds of stuff. But what exactly is this? What exactly is tragedy, and how did it all come about?
Well, the Netflix pitch is if you took the Boondock Saints, I don't know if people know that reference, and Big Trouble in Little China, and you mixed it together, it's only touching the surface of what you have. But basically, a female protagonist, she's an Irish assassin for the mafia in New York. Her life was basically ripped from her, and she's leading a life she doesn't want to lead. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. I mean, how many of us are working jobs or leading a life right now, maybe that we're not satisfied with? And, we wake up every day and some days you just don't want to face the world. Well, our strength is that we do anyway. And that's her strength. A lot of heroes, they're always winning. And I always found it funny or not interesting that He-Man's never tested. He always wins. So how much of a hero is he if he always just wins? We're all tested every day in real life, right? We have our ups, we have our downs. We get kicked in the teeth one minute, we're feeling on cloud nine the next. That's the roller coaster that is life. And that's what this character goes through. And I feel like you'll be, as a reader, relating to her a lot, and you'll be going through this roller coaster with her. Cheering her on when she's victorious and wanting to help her and pick her up when she's down. But I mean, she's fighting different mafia, the Breath of the Dragon, which we could talk about. There's mystical things going on. There's monsters. There's superpowered beings. This book is not just this vigilante book that it may look like on the surface at all. And I really look forward to showing people where it's going to go.
Yeah, most certainly. And I actually sat down and I read issues number 1 and 2 about this story known as Tragedy. And I got to say, it's good stuff. And it's violent. There are things being flown from one end of the room to the next. So would you say, is Tragedy intended for mature readers, or is this, how they rate video games? Is this kind of like rated T for teen, or is it a mix of rated T and rated M for mature? What would you say, where is Tragedy being aimed at?
It's definitely not for kids under 14 or 15, in my opinion. It doesn't have any sexual gratuity or anything like that, because I don't want to sexualize the character at all. But yes, there is violence, and anytime I have a parent come up to me with a kid looking to buy it, I warn them. I say, listen, your son or your daughter might be too young for this right now. There is violence in there, is it like really graphic? Not a little bit. There's a few scenes that are, and I would never put selling a book over, proper parenting as a parent myself. So yeah, I would definitely say it's not for kids.
Yeah. There you have it. There you have it. And the plans for Tragedy moving forward, do you know exactly how many issues this story is going to be, or how long the series is going to last? Or are you just kind of like Dr. Jones once said, I'm making this up as I go?
I've written 23 scripts. I have stories for over 60 issues. It is a continuing, ongoing series. And like Robert Kirkman, I will stop the series when I no longer have something to say. I won't force it.
There you go. Okay. Well, as I said before, I read issues 1 and 2. I like what I've seen thus far. Like the action, like the setting, like the lead character being a female lead. I definitely like that. Really good stuff. I like the outfit, like the swords. Kind of reminds me a little bit of, maybe not so much John Wick, but maybe a little bit of, hiding in the shadows, like Deadshot, or, some of those hardcore assassins that are just very good at their job, or they're trying to, they feel that they are backed. They've backed themselves into a corner and they're trying to fight their way out of it. So I dig the story. I like Tragedy. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and I look forward to seeing what you do with this series moving forward.
Yeah, issue 3, I just got the PDF formatted by the person that takes care of me today, Russ Cassidy, and it's in my hands. I'm just waiting we just obviously finished Kickstarter 3. I'm just waiting for Kickstarter to give me money, and it's going to go to print. And so within a month, book 3 will be printed in people's hands.
There you go. Excellent.
You sounded just like him. That was great.
Excellent. Smithers most find a plan to humiliate Homer Simpson. You're welcome. There you go. There's one of my many impressions that I try not to do on this show because it's not about me. It's about our special guest of the show, which this week it just happens to be Phillip Russertt. Now, aside from tragedy, and that's going to be kicking tail and taking names within itself, we also have something known as legendary illustrations. What exactly is that, and how did that all come about?
Well, I'm the type of person that if I don't like the way something's going, instead of complaining about it, I'm just going to do it the way I think it should be done. So I did that with conventions where I run my own conventions because I didn't like the way they were going. And this is my art repping agency. I represent artists from all over the world, Brazil, Australia, another place, America, of course. And I love art, as you could see behind me, and I love working with artists, and I wanted to help get some artists' work. There were some big names that I could have represented, but I would rather try to build up people that are struggling and working hard than just make money selling, off of the resume of a large artist, which is nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to challenge. So Legendary Illustrations, and that whole graphic design was done by my wife. She's awesome. Is basically, I always in my shows saying be legendary. We can be mediocre or we can try to be legendary. And the idea of that is I want to try to make the artists that I represent legendary in the industry and help them achieve that in any way I can. So, if you have a book you want to create, I have a creative team for you to hire. If you want just a commission because you love art, they can do that too. They can do covers, sequential work, everything.
Oh, that's incredible. That is really good stuff. As a wise person once said, when it comes to helping other people, helping other creatives get themselves, upbeat and get their dreams off the ground, I mean, I guess there's really only one thing left to say that, and that is simply...
Yes! That's awesome!
So...
That's great. Your
There
show
you
is
go.
so much more polished than mine.
I know, right?
It is. I'm not being sarcastic at all. It is.
No, it's all good. We try to have fun here on this very program, which, by the way, if this is your first time listening or watching to this is, and I quote, our special guest this week is Phillip Russertt. Make sure you share this with all 500 of your closest friends. They're going to like the way they look after watching or listening to this episode of And I Quote. I guarantee it. Now, have there been any special memories for you from being at conventions or other events, whether you are there as a vendor or as an attendee, that stand out to you?
Well, as a vendor, I mean, just the first time I was able to be selling my book and people wanted it, the funny thing is, the first time I ever went out, sold my book was at a local comic shop for a free comic book day. And I literally sold 60 issues at a free comic book day. And then my first convention was in New Jersey. And, I sold a lot of issues again. And just to see people interested in what I'm doing, I think was just awesome and memorable as far as a vendor. And of course, meeting people. As far as a fan, I'm not a celebrity worshiper, but I do love and admire a lot of artists in the industry. I don't know. Meeting David Finch was great, and Mark Silvestri, because they're two of my favorite artists and really nice guys. Those were great experiences. I got to stand right next to John Byrne. I didn't really get to interact with him, but I got to stand next to him. But I honestly just love the camaraderie at conventions, whether you're vending or a fan. It's the one place we can go that people aren't arguing over something stupid. We're all just common ground, and we're brought together, and we're smiling, and we're happy, and we're just geeking out like your show.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, I might add. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Now, what advice would you give for aspiring comic book writers or promoters?
I would say, as much as you do it for passion and fun, depending on where you want to go with it, if you're going to be hiring artists or whatever to work with, research how things work, research the industry, understand the process, because even if you don't go with the process, understand the process, how it is to hire artists and letterers and how the process of making a book works. Because as much as it's fun And if it's just a hobby, that's great. But if you're going to delve into that and you're going to bring other people in, you really should know there is kind of a science to it. There are things to learn. But as much as it can be a business, the second it becomes only a business, then maybe you should change, because this is about fun and creativity and passion first.
There you go. Mic drop. Very good advice, no question about it. Who would you say are some of your favorite comic book writers or artists of today?
I don't actually collect mainstream comics anymore. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit of an old school guy, but I do love, like, as far as more modern day, there's some great artists like Tyler Kirkham and Jorge Medina, and there's a lot, and I'm drawing a blank for some reason. Jose Luis is awesome. I love guys like Joe Prado and Norm Ratman and Scott Todd Nauck. I mean, they go back to the 90s, but they're still relevant today. These are some of my favorites.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Good picks. Good picks. Well, this episode of Van Dyke Quote, and every episode of Van Dyke Quote, I should say, is indeed powered by Pod Decks. Now, Pod Decks are unique interview questions as well as episode starting prompts in the palm of your very own hand. So whether you are a new podcaster or existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience or get more engagement, you're going to want to check out poddex.com. Make sure you use the promo code Ryan10. That's RYAN10, Ryan10 for 10% off your first order. You're not going to want to miss out on that opportunity. With that being said, Phil, who was the best boss you ever had, and what made them the best?
You mean like in my regular day career?
Could be any job you've had in the past or the present.
Actually, I'm working for a boss right now that I think is phenomenal, because they understand their side and my side of what we have to do. And I think that's important, because if they can understand what it is I go through, then when they delegate and they lead, they can do it properly. I think the best leaders not only would be willing to roll up their sleeves and jump into trenches with their people, but they understand what you're doing in those trenches. I mean, how can you be proficient at something as a supervisor or a boss if you don't understand all the moving parts of whatever it is you're doing?
There you go. There you go. If you were going on what is known as a road trip, what are the 3 must-haves you couldn't leave without?
Rush music, Billy Joel music, and something to drink. I'm always thirsty. I'm a mouth breather.
Something to drink. You look thirsty. I need a drink.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm Irish, but I don't drink alcohol, though. So there you go. They were going to revoke my status.
Boom! Things have been revealed on this show. The surprises we get when we have these episodes known as another episode, I should say, of Van Dyke Quote. There you go. Boy, my words are getting twisted today. Gee willikers. The next thing I have for you is, would you accept a fatal mission in exchange for a lifetime of support for your family?
No, because the most valuable thing I can give my daughters is my presence. Be there for them to help them, guide them, and grow, and have them grow, and walk them down the aisle someday. Be there for all the moments that matters. All the money in the world can't buy those moments, and that teaching and that, help molding them to be the best people they can be.
Mind blown. There you go. Love it, my man. Love it. Now, if you were designing your own fragrance to represent you, what would you call it?
Eau de toilette.
What? Gee whiz. Who do you think you are? Pepe Le Pew?
Yeah, really.
What on earth is this?
I don't. High karate? No, I'm just kidding. Is there a cologne called Loudmouth?
I don't think there is.
Well, then I would make one called Loudmouth.
Oh boy.
Listen, self-deprecation is probably the best humor. If you can't laugh at yourself, then you're gonna have a hard life.
No, that's a fair point there, Phil. I'm not going to argue that one. Good answers. Good answers. Gee whiz. If you were given what is known as $1,000 to spend on your closest friend, what would you get them?
That's a good question. It depends on what they. Well, my closest friend, he loves comics and art, so I guess it probably, and he loves Thanos, so I'd probably get him something that involving that. Or I would just say, hey, let's go for a shopping spree, and whatever you choose, I got it. Up to $1,000.
All right. A little bit of a friendly neighborhood shopping spree, or maybe get them the replica of the Infinity Gauntlet, or maybe have Thanos show up himself, maybe quote a few lines with him from Endgame or Infinity War. You know, this does put a smile on my face. You know.
Man.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, I'd try my best with what I have. What is it? What is he? I'm trying to think. One may not consider fun when balancing the universe, but this does put a smile on my face. And then he says at the end of I think it's the second film. What is it? Avengers Endgame. I am inevitable. It's it's one of the many lines from Thanos that everyone probably remembers from whether it's Infinity War or Endgame. Those were two solid films. Do not get me wrong. And Josh Brolin just nailed it. Thanos that was one heck of a villain, man. Let me tell you.
That and the fact that he carried, he did Cable and still.
He's playing different characters in different films or cinematic universes, and he can still pull them off quite nicely. You know what I mean? It's amazing what that man can do, seriously. And you know what? His that little indie film known as The Goonies just turned 37 a few weeks ago. So there you go, Josh Brolin.
My daughter soon.
What's that?
Yeah, I plan on showing that to my daughters this week before I leave for Heroes Con. Yeah.
Oh, you're going to show them the 80s magic of the Goonies, huh?
Yeah, I bring them up on the 80s. They love Thundercats and Silverhawks and not G.I. Joe, but they even like the Hanna-Barbera from the 70s and early 80s.
Have you shown them Mask yet?
No, I haven't gotten that cartoon yet, but I'm going to.
I believe it's Mobile Armored Strike Command, I want to say is the acronym for that. Mask, fighting crime. Remember that?
Yeah, I had the toys. I had a helicopter turned into a jet, which made no sense to me, but it was still cool though. The motorcycle, it turned into a copter, I think. Yeah, it was cool. That was fun.
Oh my goodness! Speaking of Mask, we've had the pleasure of having voice actor from Mask, Doug Stone, aka the voice of Matt Tracker, on this very program.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so when you get a chance, you can go back into our video library and check out that interview we had with Doug Stone. Great guy, wonderful person. He was great to have on our show. He was actually one of our first guests when we first started doing And I Quote. So
that's
fun
cool.
little fact for you watching at home, or if you're listening to this episode, there you go. Hashtag the more you know.
Yeah.
There you go.
I remember that too.
Yeah, we all remember that. See, we got a whole bunch of nostalgia going on here, but we got to say, yes?
I'm so old. I remember Channel 11, which is WPIX. They used to do the game. They have like an Atari game on there, and you used to yell "Pix" when you wanted it to fire. And they did that on the commercial breaks between G.I. Joe and all them shows. I'm old.
No, hey, listen, it's just a number. It's just a number. And as Dr. Jones once said, it's not the years, honey. It's the mileage.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I've got a lot of mileage, but emotionally and mentally, I'm probably still 12. My wife says I'm the richest 12-year-old on the planet.
Oh my gosh. Gee whiz, we're talking about all these nostalgic memories, whether we grew up on that property or not. Granted, Mask and some of the other ones were before my time. I was more of a 90s kid than anything else. But I'm just curious, what is one of your most prized possessions in your collection? Is it a print? Is it a Hot Toy statue that you have back there? What is one thing that you can share with us that's one of your most prized possessions when it comes to your collection of nerd stuff?
Actually, my wife, when we were dating, painted me a Colossus, which is one of my favorite characters. And it's the Russ Cassidy Astonishing X-Men cover where it's just him in the dark, like his shoulder and his face. And she did such a brilliant job on it of all my superficial things, my geek stuff. That's my favorite piece. It's framed up here in the hallway.
Oh my gosh.
She did a beautiful job. It is amazing. After that would be the original art to Ian Churchill did for my cover for Tragedy. That was just and just to see your character created by, drawn by a major Marvel DC artist that I have admired my whole life, and just looking at the work he did. So my wife's piece first, and that one probably second.
Oh, there you go, man. If you have a passion and you go after it and you stick with it, even through the good times and the bad, good things can happen. So there you go. We want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Phil Russertt for being our guest on this week's episode of And I Quote. Phil, thank you so much for being here. Where can the person watching or listening to this find you on social media and everything you have coming up? What do you got?
The best localized place to go is Facebook, Phillip Russertt. Philip with 2 L's, Russertt, Russertt. But I do have my CreatorCon event page. You can also see all my old shows with celebrity guests. But mostly my Facebook page and my Indiegogo is at Phil Russertt. And for Legendary Illustrations, you see the website scrolling down there. But on on Instagram, you can go to at blegendary.illustrations, and on Facebook it's Legendary Illustrations.
There you go. And just to let everyone know, the links to where you can find everything, whoever our guest may be for that week on whatever episode of And I Quote, can be located within the description of this video. So Phil, all the links will be located in the description of this video for people to find and follow you and catch up with all the projects you have coming up. Congratulations to you and your creative team, everything you guys have going on over there. And we wish you the best of luck with everything moving forward. And with that being said, my name is Ryan. I am the host and producer of And I Quote. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram simply at RyanRPM5. All one word, RyanRPM and the number 5. Links to all my other podcasts, all my other projects that are coming up are located within the description of this video or the audio version of this episode. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to our good friends over at theradbear.com. Check them out for nerd swag from your favorite properties such as Power Rangers or The Neverending Story or your favorite anime properties. Check them out. Use the promo code RYAN10. That's RYAN10, RYAN10 for 10% off your order at theradbear.com, the best nerd brand out there right now. So check them out. New designs have been posted to their website, so definitely check them out. Tell them that Ryan sent you and treat yourself to some great nerdy swag. Sorry, my words got away from me a little bit there. Also, our next watch along is coming up very, very soon. In the next couple of weeks, it's going to be on Friday night, July 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We're celebrating the 30th anniversary of A League of Their Own, starring Gina Davis, Tom Hanks, Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell. The list goes on and on and on. It is arguably one of the greatest sports movies and biopics of all time. A League of Their Own, Friday night, July 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the Nerd Culture Facebook and YouTube channels. So follow us at It's Nerd Culture. All that information will be located in the description of this video as well. So make sure you tune in for that. Stay tuned. Also, we got great people coming up on our show in the next few weeks. We have artist Pat Kenrick of Amorable Art on Saturday, July the 9th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on our Facebook page at It's Nerd Culture, where you can tune in for that of our next episode of And I Quote, featuring Pat Kenrick of Amorable Art. What an incredible artist, an incredible person. You're not going to want to miss out on that episode. Once again, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. In the meantime, stay healthy, stay strong, stay safe, and remember, life is better when reading. Take a look.
Famous Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
Join author Gary Zeiger for an animatic short film based on his breakaway Stingray novel series. Watch this animatic short based on the novel Stingray, You Can't Hide Forever at stingrayseries.com. In Stingray, You Can't Hide Forever, Captain Epsilon is putting the band back together to rescue his protege's little sister from the evil conglomerate, while keeping his state-of-the-art warship, Stingray, out of their hands. Watch as the adventure unfolds in the groundbreaking animatic short at stingrayseries.com. Then, join the crew of Stingray with the next novel in the series, Stingray Prophecy, where Captain Epsilon and Dr. Zubre are pivotal players in an ancient prophecy. Can they reunite the people of two worlds before they destroy each other? To learn more, visit stingrayseries.com.
The original intention of the film was just for my personal use, but I thought with it being such a unique thing that I'd like to offer it to anybody who wants to see it. On the first visit, Jack took us into his another room, a separate room, and there were these brown parcels full of artwork piled up, and he said to me, "You draw like I do." We were in the studio for 5 hours, you know, it was fantastic, and there's this, he's got this desk, and everything he's ever drawn has come from this desk, and then I would just go with the flow, and that's what this film is about. It's just a unique film of him.
He says, "I beat you." He says, "They say we came in under the dead heat." He says, "That's not true because I beat you." And the American said, "Well," he says, "if you like to think so," he says, "but I know the real story." He says, I know I clearly won that one." See? Well, Joe is 6'3", and I was a run, say, from the Lower East Side. And being Joe's partner was an advantage to me because Joe was believable. You know, they would talk to Joe. The Goodman brothers would get to know him. Martin Goodman owned Marvel at that time. He went to his mother and he says, "Look, Jackie got a job drawing." He says, "They're paying him for it. They're paying him money for drawing." He says, "Suppose I go with Jackie." He says, "And he says, they'll pay me money." He says, "I'll draw and they'll pay me money." He said, "I'll give the money to you," which we did. We gave it all to our mothers. They called me from Nassau. You know, I lived in Long Island. And they say, "Would you like to come down and draw these guys in training?" I swear, this is not a story. And I said, "Yes, of course, I'd love to come down." And,
Choose high-flying action. Choose death-defying escapes. Choose spine-tingling thrills. Choose nail-biting intrigue. Now's your chance to choose the adventure. The Captain Hawkland Adventures. Available on Amazon.com.
Author Cindy Kep is writing on the edge. Books include Remnant in the Stars, The Loudest Actions, Lines of Succession, Mindstorm, Condemned Courier, the Yerushalayim series, and Animal Eye. Find author Cindy Koepp at CKOEPP.com today.
You've worked hard and written a great book. Now it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
Good morning! Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.